muted the video and I just had the entire audio file.
Okay, well, welcome to the game dev behind the scenes, Golden Character here with our Golden Spotlight. We are into our weekend, Friday and Saturday, where we get to feature other people and what they are doing. And so tomorrow, Saturdays, we're going to be dipping into indie game developers and their games. So join us for that. But tonight, we're going to focus on artists and other contributors to the games, like our guest tonight, who is a music composer diving headfirst into scoring for video games, film, and TV. Passionate about music, he is dedicated to creating exciting and memorable compositions that bring projects to life. Please welcome Travis Bernau. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah,
Really
we're
appreciate it.
glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil.
All right, so let's see. I may have to kind of adjust on the fly with all our different audios that we have going on, but we'll try to get it there. Hopefully, if anybody is watching, they can chime in if you're having trouble hearing anything, if the mix is off. Just let us know if you have any questions for Travis as we go. Feel free to drop those in. We definitely appreciate hearing from folks, and we'll welcome you as well. So, Travis, I guess let's just start off by giving you a chance to introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure, certainly. I'd love to. So, like Phil said, I'm a music composer and I'm diving headfirst into scoring music for video games, film, and TV. And scoring music, writing music, writing the sheet music for potentially musicians, artists to perform live, get a live recording, and then sending that music to a mixing engineer or mastering engineer. So focusing on the sheet music for video games, film, and TV. Um, a little bit about myself. I've been teaching piano for over 10 years, and I have a little over 20 private students. And I also teach at a small music school. I try to coordinate about 4 piano recitals in the year, one per quarter. And I teach beginning to advanced piano, music theory, songwriting, music composition. Um, but main focus right now is scoring music right now and indefinitely.
Okay. Very cool. No, that's great. It's good stuff. I know you've had several recent projects that you've been working on. So it's up to you. We can dive straight into to kind of talking about those if you want to, or if you had anything else you wanted to share. I think it's cool that piano teaching background. I love that, and you still
Thank you.
actively have students right now, right? So
I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool. So they're all watching this right now, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope they would be practicing. Use their precious time to practice the piano. and then
Fair
guitar
enough.
theory.
Fair enough. That's a good teacher right there. All right, cool. Okay, so yeah, what project would you like to show us first?
So I've been working on a few video game jams. The most recent, um, well, the first one I've actually done was back in June, I believe. It was an IGDA game jam. It lasted for the entire month and was working with a couple video game developers, Ryan Kurlish and Kat. Um, Kat Yu, she does 3D models. Um, so we created a game called Chulupa Defense Force, kind of random name. um, and some of the or some of the restrictions were to create a tower defense game, make it monochrome, and using sound effects. So, so all the music and sound effects, sorry, all the sound effects and music were to be created from your voice.
Right.
Yeah, using
Yeah.
only your mouth. So you're gonna hear the music and it's gonna sound odd. um, no, but I'm glad they didn't restrict any um, like altering of the sound effects, like my voice. So I added filters and so I'm kind of cheating a little bit.
No, I don't think it was cheating at all. So the directive was you had to make sure that you're only using human voice for all the audio in the game. And so that's where you fell in, where you had to create actual music using your own voice. I think it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so here we'll take a listen and see what this. Oh, wrong one. Try this one. There we go.
Yeah, so Chalupa Defense Force. I don't know why we picked Chalupa, but it like made us hungry.
Ready. Ready.
Cha-ching.
Ready.
Yeah, those are fun. Those were from Ryan.
Yeah.
Ready. 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 Mover now. Ready. Mover now. Ready. Mover now. Mover now. Ready. Mover now. Ready. Mover now. Ready.
Cha-ching.
Ready.
Cha-ching.
Ready. Ready.
Good stuff. I'll be honest with you, Travis. As far as like you can tell with those sound effects, of course, that they're human voice,
Yeah.
which are hilarious.
Yeah, so the sound
But
effects were actually all from Ryan.
right,
I just did
right.
the
But
music.
But the music, I mean, you would not be able to convince me without telling me. Like, if I just listened to that, I would not know that that's just your voice. That's to me that mind blowing. I think you did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I
yeah,
really appreciate that. It was a fun project. It was a I gained a lot of experience learning. Eventually I figured out that I could just record one audio file and then I could just play it on the piano. Because at first I was singing a part, and then I'd sing on top of that, and then I'd sing another thing, and I'm like, and then eventually I just anyway.
No, I think it's cool. Yeah, I'm familiar with the project. I participated in the exact same uh, game jams, so all those challenges were very different. And I mine lacks music altogether. I have zero. So to be able to approach it this way and come up with an actual, like, you can hear too that introduction, and then you hear that music change as the level starts, and you kind of get that intensifying, as the gameplay starts. It's all very effective. It's all very good. I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Camille, for commenting as well. She said it's so cool. So,
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much.
um, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like when you're doing a jam like that, I guess with you, you're having to, you almost have to have a team in order to participate in these jams, because your focus is primarily the music. I don't know. I guess it would be an interesting game to have it 100% music, but why not? We've got, games that have all
Yeah.
kinds of other stuff. But so what's it like for you in terms of finding, figuring out these connections and these teams and these groups to jump on board with and contribute and kind of get your work in there and a part of it.
Um, so been going to the Las Vegas chapter, the IGDA, and been networking and meeting other composers and video game developers, and just networking and getting to know everyone else, and just kind of forming teams,
Yeah, no, it's great.
and and just see where things go, and it's been really fun.
Great. And Camille asked, what's your music education? What's your
So I got a bachelor's in music composition at UNLV some time ago. It's actually been 10 years since I graduated, so it's been a while. But since then, I've been teaching piano and composing. I've been playing piano since I was little, since I was like 6 years old, improvising. Um, I was actually not the best student. I would improvise at the piano instead, and then eventually practice what I had to practice. Yeah, I was. She asks, "Was I in choir?" I was in choir. Perhaps we know each other. I sang in a community choir back in the day, um, and in college I sang in all 5 years. Music takes a long time. I'd actually majored in architecture for 2 years, and then I switched majors. Um, but yeah, I was in choir for like all 5 years, and yeah, it was fun. It was great.
I'll throw it up on here again. I know, like this right here. It's so cool to think that that's just your voice.
Yeah,
It's
like
great.
can't really
So
sing that low, so I was like,
what do you?
"Whoa." I can sing in the middle range, and then I'll just play my keyboard, MIDI keyboard, all the way down here, and then it
Right.
transposes, and it's like,
Nice. Okay. So did you have like different sounds that you made or different vocalizations for different notes, or did you use kind of the same one and then apply the note to it? Like I don't know how that works. I'm trying to visualize it.
I think some of the audio files I did try to imitate. Yeah, I think I tried to imitate different instruments. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. So I record my voice, but then if I play my keyboard a couple keys down or up, like you can obviously hear that it's it's been manipulated electronically, and it just sounds a little distorted, but it creates a cool effect. So when I'm playing very high on the piano, then it sounds like a different instrument.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun what you can come up with when you're presented with a unique challenge. You know.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's pretty cool. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to point out on this one before we talk about your second project? Or
Um,
I just don't want to push you faster than you want to move. That's all.
oh, sure.
We
I really
can.
like the concept. I really like the concept of the game. I'd like to see more from it. So we need to get Ryan to like
Right.
develop it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's a pretty fun game. I mean, nothing competes with that first line of defense against your chalupa. That's
yeah,
it's
I don't know where that came from. I think that was Cat's idea.
okay. Yeah, I mean it's a creative game, and it's I think it's very slick, very nice, and it met the brief really well. You know, the monochromatic theme, the audio. That's the most impressive part. In terms of that challenge, overcoming that challenge of only being able to use your human voice for the audio. I think it's impressive. So I guess I'll real quick then before we move on to the next one here. I'll just shamelessly plug here that right there, my monochrome version with only audio
Nice.
is available to be wish listed on Steam. We gotta, like you said, push Ryan to get that one to that point, right? I think it would be cool. Um, so I'll throw that up there. All right, but I won't talk about that one because we're here to talk about Travis's work.
Oh, it's alright. You can do a shameless plug. Plug it.
All right. So cool. What do you got for us next?
So the next one is Friendly Bunnies, and it was part of the Game Maker's Toolkit game jam, and I think that was like the following month, maybe July. um, so that was a fun one.
All right.
Mark was the gameplay UI designer.
Oh,
Chris,
I,
Mark, what was that?
I did just wanted to jump the gun. I was rolling it already.
Oh,
Go ahead.
so Mark Esparagoza, he was the one that kind of coordinated everything. So his focus was the gameplay and UI. He was the UI designer, and then Chris Cassidy was the user research level designer. Jaden, don't know his last name. I was got his last name. AI and UI designer, and then Tim did character design. So it was a good group of us. It was fun
Cool.
project.
Very nice. All right, we'll take a look or a listen. Right? Everybody listen. Very cool. So the scene doesn't seem to change, but I noticed the
Right.
music did. So were you changing it on the weapon? What was changing? Was it the level?
It was a level.
Okay.
So when you play first three levels, you just have one audio file, and then once you get to the fourth one, it changes. I think maybe if we had more time to work on, we actually had 4 days to work on this. Um, so if we had more time, I think maybe when the enemy appears, maybe the music can change then. But at the moment, it's just the first three levels. You had one sound, and then once you get to level four, it kicks in the more dramatic type of music.
I mean, so you still were able to create multiple pieces of music though in a just a weekend jam essentially, right? That's
Mhm.
that's cool. Very cool. So what else came out of that project? Is that something that they're still working to go further with, or was the game jam pretty much all that the light it saw?
There are plans to keep working on it. So we've been meeting a little bit here and there to work on the project. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Cool.
The one of the challenges for that game jam was to build a game that is built to scale, or if that makes sense. It needs to scale for certain things. So potentially, so they have like the bullets, get bigger and bigger,
Right.
and they have like different sizes of the cars, and um, so that was their way of incorporating that challenge.
So again, having to kind of meet some unique challenges just right off the start. So when it comes to a game like this, this gives me an opportunity to sort of ask something that I one of the things that I think is impressive that you guys do when you're creating music for a game, is and in talking with you previously, I know that this is kind of a big thing for you, is being able to really see the game and get a feel for it before you ever really get too far into the music, because you want to make sure that it's aligning with what it's going to be, what the experience is going to be like for the player. And so especially in a game jam situation, like how do you pull that off? How do you get uh, your music to kind of sync with what's going on? Do you discuss it right off the bat? Do you just sort of you know come up with something and work from there? Like what's that process like?
uh, yeah. So some of the video game developers have an idea about the music already, so they would share a few files, a YouTube channel or an audio file that they like, and they could tell me um, what they're going for. With Ryan, I think it was more like, oh, whatever you have, will be great. So so I was very fortunate with that because it gave me a lot of freedom. So um, he gave me the concept and the idea, and I'm like, okay, I have an idea, space theme on a planet, mech units. Sure, see what I can do.
Sure.
Um, and then when I shared the initial rough music edit, he was like, "Oh, that sounds great," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't really have to do much revising." So that was nice. Very fortunate with that. And then with the friendly bunnies, the one that you see here, uh, they wanted me to go closer to like a rock sound, which I don't think I achieved too well. I think I'll have to change my instrumentation, but since we're continuing this project, I can definitely work towards a rock band sound.
Gotcha.
It's also the palette of instruments I chose from too probably didn't help.
How do you make
Um,
that decision? I guess that just comes with experience and kind of trial and error, or
so like I think I was sharing a little bit with the developers, and I think they like the sound. Usually, when I aim for something that sounds current, modern, so I would have to listen to, okay, what's popular now, what's playing, what's in the theaters, and then kind of use that palette if I want to go in that direction. Of course, it depends on the style of the game. If it's more retro, or if there's a certain time period, then I might try to find a style that would work with that.
sure,
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. It depends.
sure. Well, if you have anything specific you were hoping to kind of highlight in here, feel free to just jump in and do so. I don't want to like cut you off or move past something that you wanted to share.
Sure. Let's see. Okay, so when I'm creating the music, like when I'm playing a video game, I can notice when the music becomes redundant, like quickly. So for me, when I'm writing, I try to create a lot of variations over time. So I'm basically creating a rondo, which is sorry, which is you have one musical idea, and then you have a different section, and then you go back to like the chorus, and then you have another section, the verse material, and then you go do something different. So pop music would be like a bridge. So essentially, I just keep doing that, and each time it returns to the chorus or it returns to the verse, I try to make some variations to that. And over time, it just keeps building and changing. So you potentially get to 6 minutes, 7 minutes. It's almost a completely different song.
So I guess the goal then, correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely just this is me coming from trying to understand it from my limited perspective. But it seems like the goal is trying to create sort of the longest loop you possibly can with as many little individual variances within that loop so that it doesn't feel repetitive. I don't know if that is right or makes sense or
Yeah, I think so. For like, yeah, because you're creating a loop, right? And you're in a certain area of the game, but some loops are pretty short, and you can tell, and it gets, I don't know. For me, it's like, oh, I need something different. So I try to make some variations. So yeah, for me, it's like creating a rondo / theme and variations. So the theme keeps repeating, but it's always different. And adding a slight change here and there can drastically make the music that much more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely hear your, changes with the tempo and with the, just it gives it. It's like you're still connected to that same piece of music, and yet it's completely different at the same time. So I like it. You definitely need that, especially when you're playing a level over and over or using the same music. Yeah. It's definitely a challenge in game development that I think a lot of folks kind of don't think a lot about. I don't know, I could be wrong. Sound is so important in a game, and some devs out there I think are very focused on the visual element, and sound kind of gets pushed towards the end. And so thinking about that as you're going through development can be really important. So I know in a case like this was a weekend game jam, so this wouldn't be relevant probably for this game, but in that, talking about that sort of throughout development, like how do you like as a composer, if you're involved in a project, how do you like getting connected or staying connected to the development process? Like, do you enjoy getting updates and do you make adjustments, or do you sort of lock yourself in at the beginning, or do you wait until as much development is done as possible before you move into that your phase? I mean, how does what is that, what's your preferred approach?
Great questions. Uh, the earliest is the best, right?
Yeah.
Earlier is better. Um, so if you can start working with the whole group from the beginning, then you can hear what they're working on, the type of ideas, and I could start thinking of music that would be appropriate or could work. Like, oh, is there a monster, or is there is it more horror kind of like, or so earlier the better, and then if things change, I can adjust accordingly, and then once I have like a rough sketch, the developers actually like to have that in their game so they can kind of get into the zone.
Yeah, that makes
Creating.
sense.
Um, yeah.
Sure.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's fine. So like I have another twist to that question, but real quick, we'll throw Camille's out there. She's got another one for you. She wanted to know how do you know you wanted to score games instead of movies or commercials?
Well, I'm open to scoring for movies, film, TV, and commercials. Video games, because I've played video games since I was very little in my entire life. So it's a passion of mine. Yeah, when I was little, I'd be playing. Oh, this probably date me, right? Playing.
Probably not in this group.
Oh, okay, good. I was playing, Diablo 1, just Diablo, right? And then StarCraft 1.
Oh yeah. I
all those games, Age of Empires. And
oh yeah, me too. Age of Empires. The original Warcraft 2 was actually that was my jam.
Oh,
back
nice.
well back before the World of Warcraft. Warcraft 2.
Oh,
That was one of my staples, but
nice.
yeah. StarCraft was good too.
7 and 8.
So what's your favorite?
Favorite game? Well, that's a hard question. When I was little, one of my favorite games was Star Ocean. It's the second story.
I gotta be honest, I'm not familiar with it.
It's an RPG game, and
Okay.
It's characters are all interesting, and they have all their special abilities, and it's a fun game. You guys should check it out.
Cool. Did you ever do Masters of Orion, the old original MMO? No.
No.
That was another one of my early stomps. But okay, cool. So what I was gonna throw out there, the other question that I was kind of working towards when it comes to the process of developing music for a game, I'm curious, does it's hard, like I imagine you have like this background music that is just sort of, you have no idea how long it's going to go on for. To your point, it might be a 30-second, it might turn into a 30-minute loop, because a lot of times it's going to be dependent on how long that player is, in that level, or going through whatever it is that part of the music is. They might return to it a bunch. But do you ever have to have you ever had to layer music where you've got, a piece of music that's sort of the background, and then you've got to throw in pieces for, say, an event trigger, that type of thing, and try to get those to work together?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, creating those variations, you add different layers to the music. So essentially, everything I'm writing
Yeah.
has layers upon layers. Um, and then it gets to a point where it might be too muddy, where things get overwhelming. But um, and then when you transition to another piece of music, there are different ways to modulate or transition. So, for example, one of the video game jam with Ryan, the the Web of Time. When we get there,
Ready when
I
you
just,
are.
yeah, I
Go
just
ahead.
used yeah, I used a common tone to like kind of like ground the listener, and then when it transitions to the peaceful sound, it's in a different key, but since I used that same pitch, you're kind of hanging on to that, so it's not like it's
Yeah.
abrupt or anything.
Great.
That makes sense.
Cool. Well, should we use that to transition and
Sure.
okay. Did you want to introduce that one?
Web of Time. That was a Brackies game jam, and I worked on that with Ryan Kurlish. Hopefully, I'm saying his last name right. um, and that was a fun game jam.
Cool, cool. All right.
And we had a week to work on it.
1 week. All right.
Cool.
All right. Cool. Very nice.
So the challenge for that one was to create a, a game based on the calm before the storm. So in that, when the character enters a time rift or collects a time rift, it slows down time, and you see how everything like slowed down,
Right.
and you can aim your weapon at the targets and aim, I don't know, more efficiently, I guess, because they're slower. And then everything resumes, and you just clear the map with that.
Right. Right. No, definitely. You can hear. Excuse me. You can hear what you're talking about. About really keying into intensifying and changing up the music based on what's happening in the game. It's pretty cool. And especially, again, here we are, it's another game jam. So you've got a lot of time pressures, but you're still able to, accommodate, work that in, and prioritize that. I think that's great.
Thank you. Yeah. And then this one, I was working on a piece of music, and I was thinking like, oh, I think this is chaotic enough, or it sounds intense enough. And then when I shared it with Ryan, he was like, well, I don't, I want something more chaotic. And I'm like, okay, back to the drawing board for that one. But we used that for the title screen, so I didn't share it with you on here, but I'll post it on my website. Listeners can check it out.
Yeah, it's great. You've So, how many different like clips or little individual pieces of music do you have within the sound design just for a quick little, you know, game jam game like this?
So, yeah, it kind of depends on the project. But with this one, I was going for more orchestral sound. So, just imagine, all the instruments involved in that. I think I had a flute, maybe a clarinet, it's string instruments, violin, cello, viola, double bass, and some brass instruments. So trying to
So one or
create this,
two. Yeah.
yeah, trying to create the sound of an orchestra. Um, and then I added some other sound effects to make it sound more chaotic, I guess.
Very nice. Good work. Well, definitely appreciate you sharing all this with us.
Yeah,
It's
thank you
very
so much
cool.
for
Um,
having me.
oh, well, of course. Oh, we're not done yet. Don't run away.
Right.
We got time for some more questions. So if there's still anybody else here joining us who would like to chime in and ask Travis about any of these specific pieces of work or, just in general, whatever's on your mind, feel free to jump in and pose your question. We'd love to have you do so. Let's see. So I think we talked about most of the things that I wanted to touch on for sure. But one thing I wanted to ask, since we are gearing towards game developers and hopefully appealing to indie game dev individuals who are coming in and, sampling other people's work and so forth, what helps you? Like, what would you want as a composer if you were doing the music for a game? What would you want that developer to provide you with? What kinds of things, what kind of information, game clips, backstory. I don't know. You tell me. What kinds of things would give you the best starting ground to really do the work and throughout development, rather than even as it goes.
Yeah, great questions. Keeping me in the loop. I'd like to know what's happening. Is always important because if something changes, I might have to change the music. Um, and then maybe a list of emotions that they're trying to go for, or the style or genre of the game would influence the sound and soundscape and the music. So again, if they're going for something like horror, right, or scary, or psychological, or fantasy or sci-fi, then that would influence the music, of course, and also the type of instruments too. If they wanted something more orchestral or more techno sounding, or using bit sounds, like those are all important to share with
For
me.
sure.
Yeah, sharing some songs that they like, music that they're aiming for, then I can kind of write towards that direction. Not necessarily copy the music, but
Yeah,
for
no,
legal.
I get it. It makes sense. Give you a sense of flavor and genre. Yeah.
Like I could try to write different styles. My favorite styles are like fantasy or like sci-fi. So like things like Howard Shore, or I mean like Lord of the Rings, music from Howard Shore, and or like Star Wars, John Williams. Um, so like I think I would do well in those kind of genres. But I'm up for a challenge. So if someone wants me to compose something, I don't know, like funny, I could try. Like if it's a children's TV show, and then they want something uplifting and light, I think I can do that.
or
I
or a tower defense game about a chalupa.
yeah, exactly. So I'm always up for the challenge, and hopefully down the road, maybe my strengths would reveal themselves.
Absolutely. Cool. No, those are good tips. And, on that note, if anybody watching is interested in getting in touch with Travis, his link is on our About page. If you go down and check out the About, there's a section called Links. All of our guests' links will be provided there. Um, so you'll be able to, and we'll keep that there for at least 2 weeks. So. Welcome, Josh. Thanks for joining us. All right.
Welcome.
Good to have you
Another
on
thing.
board. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so okay, so some game developers may use temp music, right? Which is fine. Uh, like they have an idea what they're going for. Like there's like dramatic music, so they have something in place.
Yeah.
But sometimes the temp music might get in the way because sometimes the video game developer or the film director or whatever, whoever may get married to that temp music. So they might be specifically wanting something exactly
Yeah.
like that. So then when I'm composing, like, oh, they might not be happy. So I'm willing to do a few revisions, but when it gets to like 5 or so, like, okay, maybe it's not a good fit, and that's totally fine to have that conversation.
Right.
Hopefully that
No,
happens
I think,
earlier.
yeah, I think that is a great point. I've found that myself when it comes to, I haven't, I guess with music too, but with sound effects, where I think I'm just going to grab this placeholder, or whatever for something, sometimes even visuals. And you just start going through play testing, and developing the game, and it's there as part of it for so long that you do kind of become accustomed to and even married to it, to where you're like, I actually just really like this piece because it's really working, and it never was meant to be part of the game. So yeah, I can
Yeah, that
definitely
happens.
see that. So what's your advice then? Just don't use placeholders.
I mean, placeholders are helpful, but if you can get the composer on board sooner, then they can
Yeah.
kind of come up with something quickly. Like I could improvise. Even that might be a challenge too, because one project I was working on, I improvised something quickly, and then I'm like, here, how's this? And then he liked it, but then he didn't want something different. It was like that's what he wanted, and I'm like, okay, good to know.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
I had that experience with a student film director, and she had all these she had temp music for everything, and I think she was working on the project for a long time, and then when I came on board, I was trying something different, but at the time I was like still learning a DAW and getting used to samples or sample instruments or MIDI instruments or so that was like still new to me. So I was writing things with like a string quartet, and that wasn't really what she was looking for. So when I presented some examples, she was like, I don't know, it's not really my thing. Or so I'm like, okay,
Right.
it was a good it was a good go, but maybe it wasn't a good fit. So no, that's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. You know?
No, I totally get it. I really do. Let's see. I was just gonna give us a little bit of a change up here. Put one of your earlier ones on. Um, but I think for me, one of the, you know, well, it's not just me. It's actually everybody, really. I mean, I was in video production back in the day, and one of the things that I learned in video production, going through that schooling, is just how powerful, music is to video. When you marry the two, when you have music aligned with video, it becomes very, very powerful to our minds. And once we see certain images alongside certain pieces of music, it becomes implanted. Those become very powerful moments. Movies, capitalize on this a ton. And it's so much so that there's even an additional license that you have to get when you do music in movies. There's the licensing for the lyrics, there's the licensing for the music itself, then there's the licensing for the recording, and then there's a different licensing that most people don't know about, which is basically the pairing to the video, where you actually have to say what video is being aligned with that music because it's so powerful. And so, to that end, I think your point is very valid. If a developer who's passionate about their game gets used to seeing that certain image, that certain scene in their game with a piece of music over and over, it's going to be hard to replace it, even if it's a better piece of music, because they've got that now ingrained in their mind. And so I think it's definitely good advice to pursue the music early on and not push it off to the last. I think that's great advice. So
Yeah, but it's also a good challenge for myself to see if I can change their minds, right?
right, as long as if I can come up with something better than what they've already got, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's well beyond that. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you're going to get into some good, fun, exciting projects here real soon, and we'll be able to have you back on and see even more work from you, and celebrate that as well. I hope that's on the
Yeah, I'd love to
horizon.
be back. Yeah.
So your piano teaching, is that
Yep.
do your do your students, like, do you ever talk to them about this type of work, or do you really keep that all very separate?
I mean, I haven't really mentioned it. Actually, one student was interested in composing, so I suggested, "Oh, you want to compose and do some music production and to see if you can get your music out there into a music library or uh, just post the music audio files onto like Apple Music or Spotify." So I can help them with that. Um, yeah, I could bring it up at the next recital. But hey, I also compose and I mean they know I'm a composer. Um,
Right. So if
I'm
any of you
also
have
yeah.
your any of your students surpassed the teacher?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean I've been teaching for a little over 10 years, and some of my early students they're like in college now, and they're or graduated probably, and they're performing like I think there are two of them that are performers, and they're incredible. I mean, I think they're very skilled and talented before I even started teaching them.
That's
So
fantastic. Great. That is really awesome.
maybe I'll hire
Interesting
them
stuff.
to do some audio recording.
Right? There you go.
I need a bass player, a little bass
So,
player.
do you do you play other instruments as well, or?
I do. I used to. Well, I mean, I used to. I used to play the Barry saxophone, alto saxophone, the French horn. Um, I was recently kind of messing around with the guitar and kind of improvise a little bit with it. But in terms of reading sheet music for guitar, not yet, but maybe soon. And I also sing in choir, so that's fun. Or it was. The last thing I sang in was actually for a Final Fantasy 14 concert here
Oh
in
wow,
Las
really?
Vegas.
That's
That was fun.
cool. That's
So if I
really
can get
neat.
more, yeah.
Yeah. Where was that at?
That was at the Virgin Hotel Resort.
That's very cool. Very cool. I
I think
like
it used to
that.
be a Hard Rock, right?
Yeah. So Camille asks, "Are you a tenor?"
Oh, I guess, yeah.
You guess.
No, yeah, I'm a tenor. I mean, I don't want to sing that high. Maybe baritone. I mean, um, I'll probably need more voice lessons. But yeah, tenor. I think my countertenor is better. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. Thanks for all the great questions, and
Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to come up with we need a music piece with a whole, you know, orchestra and choir, and you can do all of
Yeah,
that. That'll be great. That'll be fun.
that'd be really fun to do. It just depends on what your budget is.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm
I
sure
mean,
that
like I think
plays a part.
yeah, I think composers can kind of get away with quite a bit. So like most of the sounds could be like computer generated, samples. Um, wait, sorry, samples and what's the other one? Anyway, um, and then you could probably record uh, one musician or so, or maybe two, and that's not that pricey. Or if you do like a string quartet on top of samples, that could help too, kind of fill up the sound. Um, so I'm willing to work with anyone's budget.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So Camille also asked if we've talked about collaborating the two of us, and
Oh, we
the answer to
did.
that is
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
We have tossed that around. We're looking for the right project. Um,
Yeah. Well,
you
yeah, I'd
know,
be happy to. Happy to help.
got to get these few that are close to release over the hump, and then get them out there. And one of these upcoming projects, I think it would be great for sure. I've
Yeah.
got
The
uh,
current.
I've got one in the
Sorry.
back of my mind that's on
Nice.
the horizon.
Will it be in time for this current game jam?
No. I
So
mean,
there's a current game jam ongoing right
yeah,
now.
it
The
could
fourth
be,
quarter.
but I'm trying to, I'm trying to
Yeah.
pour my time into,
You have 3 months. Three
yeah,
months to work on it. It's more
I
than enough,
know.
right?
Yep. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll definitely talk further on that one. All right, so I got a final question for you here. I mean, unless anybody else has anything, still feel free to jump in. But I'm wondering. So you mentioned early on that you loved the fact that you had freedom and that you were on one of those projects that you worked where there was very little direction, and so you had freedom to kind of do what you want. And then you also mentioned on another one of the projects that, or when we were talking about, kind of what things you like to get from a developer, that you like to get a lot of specifics and understand what they really want, what kind of instruments they want, and so forth. So, what's your favorite? Do you like that flexibility of freedom and kind of having a big wide range, or do you really like having things sort of laid out and defined for you to where you're having to find that you just take all the directives and make it happen? I don't know.
I don't know if I have a favorite. They're they're both I think very helpful. I mean the freedom is very nice, so that is very nice. It is very nice. Although um, there's a lot of trust there from the from the developer. So if they don't know what my music sounds like, then they might be surprised in a week or so. Um, but well, I would try to compose something that would I would interpret the emotions being produced, or like if they're characters and if there's a story, then I would have my own interpretation of the emotions and music. So it would, I guess, more of that would come from me, I guess, in terms of if I was given like, oh, try to create this style by this musician or artist. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's fun too. I like doing that too. It's a challenge. Um, but because you, the music will still have me in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I try to not create music where it's like you can tell it's composed by me, then I don't know, that's harder to do. Like So you know how like composers have a sound, you can tell.
Yeah, you have to stay true to your, you know, to your talents and your skill and your niche, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think the freedom's nice, but it might be a little risky.
All right, cool. Well, I definitely appreciate having you on, Travis, and sharing all this work. And like I said, looking forward to seeing what's on the horizon for you. And hopefully, we can have you back again here in the future. Um,
Thank
you
you
know,
so much, Phil.
absolutely. Anything you wanted to leave us with?
Um, Feel free to check out my website, travisbernaumusic.com. Feel free to message me. My email is travis@travisbernaumusic.com.
There you go.
And I'd love to work with you guys, and let's create some awesome work and create an awesome video game.
Absolutely. All right. Hope you all join us again tomorrow as we talk about indie games and their developers. So that is coming up. And we're going to try this neat little thing where we're going to basically send everybody off into another existing channel instead of into the void, just because we are all about supporting other developers. And so instead of just cutting the stream to an end, we're going to send everybody over to another game developer channel. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and hope we see you back here shortly. Now let's support this other indie developer here. I guess it takes. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. All right. The guy I had selected to do that for has blocked that feature. So I guess we won't do that for him today. All right. We'll keep it in mind. I want to be able to do that and try to support these other developers. So we'll keep that. But thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it. And hope to see you again. Thanks, Travis. All right.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yep.